Deputy Murnane-O'Connor.
Okay, thank you very much. And Minister, I too agree the town and village scheme is absolutely excellent. Minister, I sent you Carlow County Council's one this weekend. 6 projects went in. Minister, I hope you will deliver on the 6 of them, because we're talking about rural areas like the previous speakers. I have my list, but I'll give you the 6. I'm afraid to single out any in case one of them don't get funding. I'm looking for the 6 of them to get the funding. I have sent them to you. They're rural, they're really important, because it does, in little villages like Carlow, a small county, bring back life into certain areas, and that's what we need to do. Minister, just the one thing I want to ask you about now is, and I know you spoke about it early on and I missed it, and I know it's within your remit, Carlow Library. I've been on to you about that for the last few months. It's under your remit. You've been down to visit it. We need that new build, and I'm looking for a commitment for you. So I'm actually looking for the funding to come to Carlow, Minister, and I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Minister, competing demands.
Thank you. I'll be like the loaves and the fishes, but we'll do our best. Now, I can tell you that this town and village renewal scheme, it really is working well. I remember when it started in 2016, we started fixing the footpaths. Yeah. That was the start of it. But we've really moved on now. We have all that sorted, the public realm piece. Now we're looking at the buildings. We're looking at converting old buildings. And, you know, you just have to go to Carrick and Shannon in County Leitrim. A former bakery was purchased costing $270,000. Under the 2023 Town and Village Renewal Scheme, an application of $495,000 for the renovation of the building was received, and the building is to comprise of meeting and workshop space for groups such as Active Age, faith and community groups, and it's also going to look after a space for the youth. And you know, there's loads of things happening, and that's only one example. I could give you loads of examples across the country. And indeed, I was in Ball, and I can tell you that they got 120,000 on the town and village last year. And I know they're doing a lot of work there, Deputy. And I know that Mayo will get his fair share, Carlow will get his fair share, and so will Kerry. They'll all get their fair share, in fairness now, because, and if you don't get it under that scheme, there's another scheme, and it only opened on Friday, the Rural Regeneration Development Fund, and I'd suggest to Deputy Murnane-O'Connor, you should be looking at that fund for a new library, because I opened a beautiful library in Castleblaney on Friday, and it'd do your heart good to see it, because there was an old building there, and there was ivy growing out of it, there was trees growing out of it, and it was in the middle of the town. You should see it now. Absolutely transformed. Okay. So that's what we're about. It's about repurposing old buildings in the centre of the town. Thank you.
And I imagine, Minister, I gave you nearly a minute extra and you didn't mention Waterford at all. We'll move along to question.
I was down with you too. Here, look, I was down with you too.
Deputy Murnane-O'Connor.
Thank you. My question, Minister, is if you would be considering reopening the connected hubs, you know, the voucher scheme, and if you will make a statement on the matter. Thanks, Minister.
Thank you, Cahirlock, and thank you, Deputy Murnane-O'Connor, for raising this issue. Our rural future recognises the opportunity for rural rejuvenation that remote working presents, and commits to establishing an integrated national network of 400 remote working hubs by 2025. And I'm pleased to say that we're well on our way to meeting this commitment. There are now 330 hubs onboarded to the connectedhubs.ie platform, and this number is growing all the time. The initial focus of the Connected Hubs initiative was on establishing the network and on achieving this initial critical mass, underpinned by significant levels of investment by my department. The Connected Hubs voucher scheme was launched in June of 2022. It was designed to encourage those who had never used a hub to try it out for free. A total of 7,867 Connected Hubs vouchers have been redeemed across the Connected Hubs network as a direct result of the initiative. The feedback received from across the hubs sector in relation to this initiative was very positive, and I'm happy to say that real progress, it has made a real impact in terms of making people more aware of the huge benefits of using our network of remote working hubs. Following strong progress on both the establishment and the awareness-raising phase of the project, my focus has since shifted to the next stage of development. Through the work of the Interdepartmental Steering Group for the National Hub Network, my officials are now working on a new strategy which will set out a future direction for the network in the coming years. This strategy will, inter alia, help inform future decisions on possible approaches to support funding for hubs and enable a coherent approach to planning and investment in the hub sector. I'm a firm believer that remote working has been a game changer for rural Ireland, and that the network of remote working hubs that my department is putting in place will help to ensure that we can continue to take advantage of all the benefits that it brings.
And thank you, Minister. And well, I firmly believe the voucher scheme for remote workers and what we're I would have classed the hot deskers across Ireland, was hugely important. And I know from talking to people, and that's why I wanted to ask, was there any chance that we could bring it back? Because the opportunity, particularly for rural Ireland and particularly for Carlow, as I would be always promoting in Carlow, it does give a presence. A hub like this gives a huge presence within an area. And I can tell you the voucher scheme played a huge part in this, because you know yourself, when people are going into work, they're going in next door, they're going to buy a breakfast roll, they're going in to buy a cup of coffee, they're going across maybe to get some petrol or diesel. So there is that, where there's a hub, there's always more footfall, and that's so important. And look, I just think, we all see now with the cost of living, and I'm sure, Minister, there's no more aware of it than you, that incentive would be really important to keep there if you could. I know you've said you've moved on now to a new strategy. I want to welcome that. But I just think, a lot of people, like you said, really welcomed it and said it was a really good scheme. Thanks, Minister.
Thank you, Deputy. And indeed, it was my idea to do this voucher scheme because, to be honest with you, we wanted to get bums on seats, and we want to introduce people and make them aware of the hubs. So we actually have, and it worked well, because now we have nearly 75% occupancy in our remote working hubs. So I think the voucher scheme was probably of its time. And what I want to look at now is look forward, because we want to look at sustainability into the future. And I know that there's rising costs, and I know that some of the hubs may need some support in terms of running them and providing the facility. So we're going to look at all the options there. But you're absolutely right. Remote working is good for rural communities, increases the footfall in the towns. It's good for the work-life balance, it's good for the environment, less time spent commuting. So all in all, I'm a great supporter of the remote working hubs, and as I said, when we look at this new strategy, we're going to see how we can make it even stronger, because we know ourselves there's many so on now, they're spending 3 days maybe at home and 2 days commuting. And the remote working hub, it's far healthier for you than sitting at a kitchen table. Yeah, no, Minister, it's really good, as you said, and it's great even for climate, because you've less traffic on the road, and you're nearer to where you can work from. So I welcome this, but I just welcome that they are doing so well and they are being used, because for rural Ireland, I think they are really positive. And working with the Minister, I'm always promoting broadband or different connections, because I think it's important that everyone has proper connections. Can I just ask you, Minister, and this is just something that I have to ask you now before you go, because I mightn't get to see you. I met with a group of people today from St Catherine's Community Centre in Carlow, and it's under your remit on, you're well aware of the scheme. It's the Moving On Learning for Everyday Life programme, and it's been under threat that their funding, the AFSP funding, has been denied, and I'm really worried about this. St Catherine's is a great community. Minister, will you check into it for me? See, can you get me the funding? Because if they don't get the funding, it's really going to be serious, and they really do. They're actually looking for a meeting with you. But I met with them today. Thanks, Minister. While I have you, I said I might as well say it to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Dillon, you want a quick one on this?